Good morning, Flosstube. Today is Saturday, November 23rd, and this is my Flosstube update number 92. Excuse me. This is a channel about cross-stitch, and I think I'm going to get right into it. So, last Saturday, hold on just a second. Reposition the camera a little bit, sorry about that. Last Saturday, I filmed later in the day because we had made a little trip down to Tucson, and so I had done some stitching in the car on the giant snowman on the way down there, but I did not, I have not stitched on it since then because I've been working on other stuff, and I do have a finish this week, and so I will talk about that. But I stitched on several things this time. Not as much as I would like, of course, always, but you know, whatever. But so early on, like probably on Sunday, and yeah, Saturday and Sunday, I did stitch a little bit on the iris bookmark. Photocopy of it here, again here. And again, I took out this little purple bar here and replaced it with just the other, I just repeated some of the background colors that are here. And so last week I had worked on the purple in this one shade of purple down here in the base, and I had just started here, this purple up here. But so this is the iris part, the flower, and this is, everything else is completed. All the background stuff is completed. So I just have, there's like 2 or 3 other shades of purple down here. And then up here also. So this is all one color that's finished here. This whatever color is finished. So it shouldn't take me that long. There's not very much left. It's just kind of, you know, a little fussy about, you know, the different colors of it. So Tuesday is when I had my finish, and I will get to that in a second. But so then after that, I worked a little bit on the Andorian for my nephew Rob. And one of the reasons I did, it was Tuesday, I guess, probably after dinner that I worked on it. There he is, the little Andorian. My sister designed it. And I'm finding little, you know, mistakes there in that drawing, and I've sort of circled them with my red pencil. And I will show that to my sister and have her correct those. But I am going to release a PDF for the Andorian as a freebie if anybody wants it. But I'll have to have, like I said, I have my sister fix the little errors in it. But anyway, so this is the Andorian, and this fabric, the fabric for the iris bookmark, I can't remember now. I think it was something that it was like I want to say tea or coffee dyed piece of fabric that I had, a piece of even weave that I'd had for a while. And then this was even weave that I dyed with blue and I think gray dye. And it's also, I think, a 22 count even weave. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is Andorian so far. I still have this color that's around his outside of his face will be in his little hands here. I just started it down here on the inside of it, you can tell. So that one will be done soon on this side. And then like where this gap is here and like on his cuffs, and there's a little bit on his shoulders, is a gray color It'll go across. I mean, I say gray. I don't know. It's another color, a different color that'll go across his belt, and there's some little, like 3 little French knot type of things. Although I'll probably do colonial knots, but on the little buttons on his uniform there. And I started to do his nose, and this little gap right here will also be this color, and then his face will be is got to be a lighter blue color. And I still haven't done the white. There's some white above his eyebrows, or part of his eyebrows here, and part of his hair and his hair. I did do. I don't know if you can tell. You can't really see it, but there's 2 little spots in the inside of his antenna. There's a cat hair. 2 little spots in the inside of his antenna that are a darker shade of blue. They're this shade of blue. That's on the edge of his little gloves. And the top of his nostril here. And so it's the inside of his antennas. And you can't really tell. It's very tiny. It's kind of almost a suggestion when you see it, but of color. But it's there. Anyway, yeah, so there's, these little reflecting things in his eyes. It's very cute. And there's a little bit of backstitching. His mouth is backstitched. And there's a little bit of, to outline his body here. And his antenna, I think, are also outlined. But yeah, so I made good progress on him. And I kind of want to do like a stand-up figurine, a doll kind of thing, stuffed stand-up for him, maybe. I have to watch. I watched Vanna's tutorial on it at one point, and it seems very hard for me. But I'll have to watch it again to see if that's what I want to do. Yeah, I don't know. So then, oh, well, I wanted to talk about what other things that happened on Tuesday. Tuesday was seemed like a kind of a red letter day because, that was the day I had to finish. That was good. But, it was also a day that the bug out that wasn't. I don't know how many of you remember, MASH. The TV series MASH, but the letters in MASH stand for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, and so the idea was that they of course were up by the front lines. This is during the Korean War, and the MASH units were up by the front lines, and so if the front lines moved, for whatever reason, then the MASH units had to be ready to what they called bug out. And that is pack up all their tents and their patients and everything else and move, along with the front line of the war. So that's kind of how I was thinking of Tuesday, because we were going to leave our home. There were the neighborhood association. It's just 2 little streets and 3 streets. A little connector street, and then this street and our street, and then there's a gate on either end. And they were going to resurface the streets, and they had done the other street, and we're going to do this connector street and our street on this past Wednesday. So because of our neighborhood and my mom using one of those rolling walkers, and me, and the fact that in our neighborhood, we don't have a sidewalk, and there's not a sidewalk in a couple of places, which would have made it very difficult anyway. Plus the fact that the car would have had to been parked kind of far away as far as my mom's concerned, especially, and so it was just a mess. So we had planned to not be here on Tuesday, and I had been thinking, what clothes do I need? It's just really 2 nights, like Tuesday night through and Wednesday night, and we'd be done. It's supposed to be done, Thursday midday. So anyway, so I was trying to think, what do I need to do? what do I need to pack, my medication, my toothbrush, whatever. And then, so I was starting to do that on Tuesday morning because we were leaving Tuesday night. And then my dad went to check the mail, and he came back and he said, it looks like they're postponing it because they had forecast that it was supposed to rain like Tuesday and Wednesday or whatever. And I remember we had been thinking, well, how are they gonna, how are they gonna let us know? Are they gonna, and so they had postponed it until the first week of December, the week after Thanksgiving. So the bug out didn't happen, and it was good that it didn't, but because the forecast rain did come. Tuesday we were running around and it started raining like Tuesday afternoonish, and it rained off and on all day. The rest of the night Tuesday, all day Wednesday, sort of off and on. It would rain and it would stop, and it would rain and it would stop, and I think a bit on Thursday as well. So we had a good share of rain. Not a constant deluge like I think last year. We had a pretty significant rainstorm at one time. Our back patio was like full of water. This time there was some water in the back patio. It's mostly cement back there because we have the pool and all that. And so it takes a little while to drain. Yeah, so it was pretty significant considering that this is, Phoenix, the desert. As a matter of fact, it's kind of cool here. It's like in the mid to upper 50s, which doesn't sound very cold, I know. But when, the highs have been in the 90s, that's a 40-degree difference, so. Anyway, so back to cross stitch. Oh, well, the other thing that happened Tuesday night, the other red letter thing, was that my nephew, Rob, literally saved my life. I was eating dinner, and because of my tumor, I have some, numbness on the outside and inside of my mouth. And so it extends to, like, I think the part of my throat back there as well. It's all in this side of my mouth. And so I am a little bit more susceptible to, like, something, because I can't feel if something's on this side of my mouth. I'm more susceptible to something hitting the back of my throat and, engaging my coughing reflex. And so, anyway, I had just put a mouthful of food in my mouth, and something, had touched the back of my throat, and I wanted to cough, but I had a mouthful of food, and I would have, like, spewed food all over the table. So, in trying to not do that somehow, and trying to inhale to cough, I had, I guess, sucked some food down into my throat, and I could not inhale. I was kind of like, and at first I didn't really think much of it, because, like, my nephew is, going, do you need the Heimlich maneuver? And I was like, nah, but I'm trying to cough, and I could not inhale. And, because obviously something was blocking my trachea, my windpipe. And so, even as I was shaking my head, I couldn't inhale. I could not, my throat was literally blocked up. And so he just ran over and, put his arms around me and thrust up like you're supposed to do, I guess. And all of a sudden I could breathe. It was amazing. But, and I kind of downplayed it that night at dinner, but then the more I thought about it in the evening, and the more I realized, he really did save my life, because I could not breathe. And that was kind of what got me thinking a little bit more about this alien, because I had kind of put off working on this for a while, even though it's fairly simple, to do. But so that's one reason I thought about this, and I decided to work on it. So, and also on, I guess Thursday, I bought my nephew one of those Lifesaver books. You know, those little books we used to give as kids. Oh, sorry. I kicked my thing. But so I bought a little book of Lifesavers because he saved my life. Anyway, so that's why one of the reasons I remembered that I had not worked on the Andorian for a while. So there he is coming along. Okay, so then another thing I worked on very briefly was the Dragon Biscornu. And I keep thinking, I don't have that much to do. I'll just have to do, it's really kind of a lot. And also, I don't know if there's a good picture of it here. You get a glimpse of it here. There's the back side of the Biscornu. Excuse me. Is it really just a border around? I want to show just a little bit of the pattern here. But it's there's not that much in the middle. But it's kind of a lot of stitching. There's a lot of color changes and things to make that border. But anyway, on the Dragon Biscornu, I still have a lot of the dragons to do. But like I said, last week I did the little toenails, and this week, let me see, make sure I have it right. Yeah, so this week I did some more of the orange. There's, if you can see, I just did like these little pennants so that there's 3 over the castle now. There's a little bit of backstitching, in between that. Like there's going to be some more green here and here that's connected with backstitching. And then the flags are connected to the castle with backstitching. But I filled in, I think I had finished this castle a long time ago, but I did the other flag, and I pinned it, whatever, and orange little dots there. And I did this second castle here, and the same thing, I finished all the orange dots, and I still need to do the green, like I said. And then this orange is going to be another dragon's tummy. You can kind of see in between here where I carried the threads and those toenail things, but I'm hoping to pull, put dragons in there that'll hopefully cover up some of that business that they're carried in. But anyway, so I did this darker blue on each of the castles, since I had done the little doors here, like here and here. So that gave me a place to put these castle things, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and finish those because they're fairly easy to do, and that'll give me something on which to a basis to count where these little orange dots go along the top. Then I'll finish that, and hold on one second. Sorry about that. I have cat issues. Anyway, so I started. I had the orange thread handy, so I did the orange parts of this dragon tummy. So I still have a long way to go on that one, but it's coming along. It's coming. And then I did a little work on the Gnome Biscornu, and I thought, well, gosh, I'm really coming along really well. I'm doing all this, and then again, I remembered that I really have to do the backside too. And this one is not quite as complicated. There's this little floral motif, and it's repeated, and there's nothing that that connects them. The way that the dragon one is. There's just like 4 little corners like this, and so. And I have, the other side over here. So it's completely, both of them on this one and the dragon one this is completely blank. I haven't even started on that yet because I have to figure out, where it goes and all that. But anyway, so on this gnome one, I started to do his. I did the red part of his hat. There's still there's a like a lighter melon color that goes here to complete his hat. So that'll go in here. And I haven't done his face yet. But I did do the red on his hat. And I've started on the mushrooms, the red part of the mushrooms down here. And this little coral color will be on the other half of the mushrooms. So I'm working on this second gnome. Like I said this last time, this gnome is finished except for some back stitching that goes like on his face and around his beard, and there's a little bit that goes under the mushrooms and on the little snail there and on the flower things. But this is basically finished. All the stitching part is finished on this one. So I'm coming along, and really once I get going on these, the gnome one is pretty quick and pretty easy as far as all the stitching is concerned. Puck, please stay over there, please, darling. Wild boy. So now I've come to my finish. So I'm going to go ahead and show this pattern because there's not a picture. I'm just going to show a little bit of it. Control issues. This is the pattern that I was doing for my other nephew, the one that's down in Tucson, my nephew Eli. And he's really into gaming and stuff. And so I was looking for that control, something with a, that I saw that game controller thing, and I thought that was really great. So I finished it. Yay. So a few things about it. I did, like I said, I changed this little shading color to a darker, it's still a gray color, and and you can kind of see it a little bit here. But I did stitch this plus sign in black. Puck. And then I finished the gray. You can kind of see it here, to give this some dimension, some shading. And I fixed. Last time I talked about how it was like uneven. It was different than on one side than the other. So I fixed it. And then the other thing, I did the control issues. I used the blue, red, and yellow that the buttons are. I used them for the for the wording. And when I looked at it, I realized that it's not exactly centered. And if it had been up to me, well, it kind of is, I guess, up here. I don't know, it kind of is. But see, like this E ends about on the, I guess, the fourth stitch over there, and this I don't know, maybe it is centered, I don't know. But like down here, it doesn't, when you look, closely and count the threads, it's really over a little bit. Like it could have been, the word control could have been over this way a little bit and would have been more centered. And issues by itself is centered, when it comes to this controller here. If you look down where they start or whatever, the word issues is correct. But because control is over a couple of stitches, I don't know. So I just added these 3 dots here by the word issues are not on pattern, but I added them just to sort of, I don't know. But anyway, so it's done. It's again a simple design, and I'm probably going to do either a standing flat fold or hang it on a. I saw some unfinished wood, things like that. When I was looking at Joann's and Hobby Lobby, I think they both, and Walmart, there's things like that. So I might, I need to measure it and like maybe do some sort of measure it and see what it's going to be like, and mount it on, like, some kind of backing board or cardboard or something, so that I have it the finished dimensions, and I know exactly what I want to do with it. But anyway, in the meantime, I have it finished, and so for those keeping score at home, I have 3 finishes now of the probably 9 projects. So I don't have a whole lot to go, but I have a lot of things to finish. So, but anyway, in the meantime, this was the other thing I did on Tuesday. So Tuesday was a big day. I had a finish. We did not bug out. It started to rain, and I almost choked to death. Rank those as you will in importance. But yeah, so I have a finish. And then the other thing I did was I bought a few things. I mentioned that I had gone to Joann's and to Walmart. And I went to Walmart the other day, which is a dangerous thing. My sister dropped me off because my dad had appointments, and she'd take my dad to his appointment. And I had to go to Walmart anyway, so they dropped me off there and, went on. And so I had some things I had to buy, but then I was browsing along, and I went to the craft department. And the Walmart that I go to regularly, it doesn't have a very extensive, very good craft department. There's some stuff, like they have a lot of yarn, kinda, and some other, like, jewelry making stuff and craft things. But as far as cross stitch is concerned, it's a very small area. But there is one of my cats is just acting up today, determined to be goofy. Anyway, one of the things they do have is like a kind of a lot of sewing stuff and things like that. But they had I saw this little piece of fabric. It's a little it's a fat quarter, 18 by 21 inches. But it reminded me of this fabric. It's a little bit darker, but it's modeled, kind of in the same way. So I don't know if it's kind of clashes. I don't know. I might not use it, but I'm kind of eyeballing, this and I don't know. I don't know if that clashes or not. I'll ask my sisters. Both of them have a better eye than I do about that. I can't decide. I can't decide if that clashes or not. I don't know. But anyway, so I bought this little piece of fabric puck. Yeah. And the other thing I bought while I was at Joann's was I've been, I don't know if you remember, because it's been quite a while since I worked on it, but my Blackrock Angels, the one I'm working on now is playing, the angel is playing a harp. And I had thought about, because I did not order, I'm not using the Krynic that's called for the gold color and the Blackrock Angels. I probably should have. I know. Anyway, oh, I have a picture here. I don't have the stitching, but anyway, I'm working on see if I can find it. This one here. That's anyway, she's playing the harp. It's kind of hard to see. I think is that the one? Yeah. Yeah, she's got a harp there. It's a little hard to see. But anyway, so the strings in the harp, this gold color is supposed to be Krynic, and then there's a DMC gold alternative. And but for the strings of the harp, you're supposed to do long stitches instead of like back stitches, but long stitches of the Krynic, to make it look like strings. And I had thought, well, I have some gold metallic thread, and I had thought about using that for just the strings on the harp. And there's another one with a lute. Yeah, this one. And the strings on the lute are supposed to be that way also. And so I had thought about using that gold metallic Krynic that I have. I mean, DMC metallic that I have. I have a spool of this metallic thread. But then when we were at Joann's, they had this is a toile, DMC étoile. There's a little bit of sparkle in there, but it's very soft thread, and it's still 6-stranded like regular DMC, but then each individual thread has some little flecks in it that are shiny. So I don't know if this is a good shade or not, because it was the only gold-ish color that they had there, and so it was like the only skein. So I went ahead and snatched it up because, and I thought, well, I'll compare it to that gold and see if it looks like it's the right color or not. And I don't know yet. I haven't compared it yet. But the other thing, so I might use that, or I might go back and see if I can find another shade if it's the wrong shade. I don't know. But then the other thing I bought was this DMC set of new colors. I looked at it and I was like, well, do I have these colors or not? And I kind of don't think I do. They are 38s, 38, 80, 81, 82 through blah, 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 through 38, 95. And so, I don't know if you remember, but a few weeks ago, I was talking about how, on this Andorian, my sister used the PC Stitch program. I bought the PC Stitch program, and so my sister used that to make the designs, and she did. There's a design called 10 Minutes to Midnight that I'm still working on. I've kind of put it off now because I'm trying to finish, all these other projects for Christmas. The 10 Minutes to Midnight and this Andorian both called for colors that I could not find. So this one calls for 3890. And because the on PC Stitch there's like sort of a palette of colors, and you just choose colors, and so 3890 is one of the colors, and it's in this set here. And I remember when I was looking at both Joann's and Hobby Lobby that have pretty good DMC selections. The last number they had was 3860 something, 66, 67, something like that. And they just didn't have 3890. And I looked online on 123 Stitch, because I thought, well, okay, maybe Joann's or Hobby Lobby, they don't have, all the colors, whatever. And so I went to 123 Stitch and looked for 3890 and could not find it. It didn't exist on there. It's in here. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of these blues right here. One of these three right here. So now I have it. And yeah, so yeah, yay, more DMC thread. And so I think that's about it. So like I said, I have a finish, and I just have to figure out how I want to finish it. And the Andorian is almost finished, and like I said, that I'm thinking of like a little stand-up figure, and I like the way that Vanna finished. She did a bunny, that bunny figure. And she used like drapery weights to weight it down. And so, so I'm thinking about that. The you know, but I, I don't know. It just seems so difficult for me. It's the same thing I have with recipes. Like I'll see a recipe and I'll think, oh, that sounds really good. Whatever it's whatever it's called or whatever it's made with sounds really great. And then like the list of ingredients starts to get really long, and I'm like, and the steps, do this, peel that, add this, and like, the more complicated it gets, the less likely I am to do it. The most complicated thing I do is like, oh, this calls for this. Throw these in the pot, and it makes a big stew or whatever, and I can do that. But there's a cat. But if it calls for more steps, chopping and thising and thatting, and I'm less likely to try it. So when it comes to sewing, and I can make pillows. I learned, because that's just, you sew the backing on. You choose a backing fabric, you sew it together, you stuff it with stuff, and and actually I had to watch, like, I don't know how many tutorials on, I had to watch a couple of tutorials, and I had to watch them more than once to learn things like, like certain, like the ladder stitch to close it, and other stuff like that. So I'm just not really good at sewing. And so I don't quite know how I'm going to finish the Andorian, but I think the control issues is going to be, I think, it's either going to be a hanging framed thing, on a pre-finished, piece of wood, pre-hung wooden thing, or a flat fold stand up, standing flat fold thing. I don't know yet. Anyway, but yeah, so now I have to decide if this fabric really clashes with the blue of the Andorian fabric. I don't know. But I think that's it, and hopefully I can finish. I hate to say this again. I hate to commit myself, but the Iris bookmark, because it's almost done, and the Andorian, because it's almost done. And hopefully I can finish the front side of the Gnome Biscornu, because it's pretty simple. And the dragon, I just have to concentrate more on the dragon, because it's a lot of little fussy, changing colors several times, and lots of, just little stitching, and, a little bit of this color, a little of that color. And again, it's my recipe issue, because it's, I kind of put it off because it's hard. Something like the snowman is relatively easy now that I'm just sort of filling in all the snow. It's just a lot of stitching. Each row is like 70 something stitches long, I think, or thereabouts, and there's about that many rows of stitches to the top of the snowman. But anyway, I am determined to get it done. I'm determined. So I think that's it. And of course, next week is Thanksgiving coming up, and so we're still, debating about if we're going to actually do it on Thursday or some other time during the week. I don't think I've mentioned this before, but my brother-in-law's mother is, she has Alzheimer's, and so she's gotten to the point where she really can't be left alone. And my brother-in-law's sister, my almost sister-in-law, basically stays home and takes care of her now. And she does have a visiting nurse that comes in every day, you know. But of course on Thanksgiving, she doesn't have, this person is not going to come in, I guess, or can come in, but not, is not going to sit with her all day. And my sister-in-law's place is not really big enough for the whole family to gather in. And so anyway, we're trying to figure out the dilemma. And like, on the Friday after Thanksgiving, my nephew has to work. And so, trying logistically to figure out what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, and how, because we don't want to leave Rachel out, and we don't, want to leave Robert out, and, whichever day we choose. And, my brother-in-law's mom can't, come. She's really bedbound at this point. And so it's sad, kind of thing, and we haven't decided yet what we're going to do about the situation, but that's something that we have to, I don't know, what's wrong with my throat? Well, we have to consider for this upcoming week. But we're going to figure something out. I know, figure something out. But anyway, that's coming up this week, so stop, please. And my aunt is coming to visit. My Aunt Mary Lou is coming on Wednesday. And my other nephew, Eli, is coming up on Monday. So, we're going to have people in town. And so I don't know how much stitching I'll get done this coming week. I'll get some done. But that, because of Thanksgiving and because of when we're going to have it and all that, it's a little unpredictable. But I should be able to get something done, at least on those things that are so close to finish. The Irish bookmark and the Andorian. Mark my words. They're almost finished, and I'm hoping to get those done next week. Famous last words. So I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So, until next time, thank you to my returning subscribers, for coming back, and thank you to any new viewers for watching. And there is a subscribe button and a little bell if you want to see more updates, to see how that Andorian comes out. One thing I mentioned last time, I just, because it's part of my routine signing off, and is the Prairie Schooler Students group that I was a member of, and it seems to have disappeared. I couldn't find the group at all on Facebook. So if anybody knows what happened, I didn't see any kind of announcement about it or anything like that, but just all of a sudden last Saturday, when I posted my update, I was looking for the group, because I post, that I did a video. I posted in the Friday Off the Grid group, and Stitching with the Housewives group, golly. And the other one I would mention was the Prairie School Students group. And it seems to have disappeared, and I don't know what the deal was with that. I don't know who administered the Prairie Schooler Students group, but it seems to have disappeared. So if anybody knows what happened, or you can direct message me or whatever, private message me or whatever about that. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I like I said, I didn't hear anything about it. Didn't see any announcement about the group going away. So anyway, so I'm still in the other groups, the Friday Off the Grid group and Stitching with the Housewives group. And so you can find me there. You can also, I'm Elizabeth Martinez in those groups, and Phantagray on Instagram. That's with a PH, Phantagray, and PHANTAGRAY Grae, Phantagray. And that's also my email, phantagray@gmail.com. So anyway, that's all my contact information, and I'll put those, mention those groups and everything in the description box below. But anyway, so I'm really going this time. So until next week, I'll see you all later. Bye.